In our modern world of concrete and steel, we're far removed from the Indian lore of Bigfoot. It's hard to imagine any corner of our crowded world where a giant, man-like creature could roam free. Yet there's persuasive evidence that Bigfoot is real, and that urban man may be close to his first meeting with this living legend.
There were 4 of us in the car when I was the first one to sight it. We pulled up on the freeway and pulled back for optimum viewing. Oh, I'd seen people from the same location and in about the same spot before. Humans up there. It probably was twice the size.
And it was a dark, dark brown, just swaying back and forth, sitting on a rock.
And there was a big, huge object on the left of the road, and I rolled the window down in the car, and this thing was approximately 3.5, 4 feet wide, about 6, 7 foot tall. And the odor of this animal, after I rolled the window down, was so offensive that I couldn't remain there any longer. And I was scared, too. And I've been around the mountains and around animals a lot, and this thing truly scared me. And so I got out of there and rolled the windows up in the car, went on home. And the odor of that animal stayed in that car until the next morning. It was still in there.
Judy, why don't you tell us just exactly what happened that night?
Okay, when I came in the house, after I had seen what I saw up on the road, I came in also excited. And Andy asked me, well, why was I so excited? I told him that the reason I was excited because I thought I just had saw Godzilla up on the road. I didn't really think that he would believe that I saw what I had seen.
Then what did you think about that?
Well, he didn't say too much. He was standing in the kitchen fixing something for me to eat because I'd been out all evening. And I ran into the bedroom, okay, and I changed my clothes, and I came back out sort of nervous, as I usually am, lit a cigarette and sat down, and after just a few minutes, he wanted to make sure the kids were asleep before we started talking. Then he says, well, he had something to tell me about what had happened here at the house earlier in the evening. And so I said, well, what happened?
My 2 cats were fighting, and I walked in here, and I pulled this curtain away, and I picked up the cat, and I dropped it, and I screamed, and I looked up, and it had a human face. It turned sideways, and I only saw right here, that was the only part that was open on him, and the rest was nothing but fur, and he was big and black. And I screamed and ran into my dad in the living room.
Here's some photos here, slides. Let me see if they look familiar to you. Judy, you can take a look at that, too.
Yeah. That's what I saw in the window.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I saw on the road. That's exactly it. I saw a large, black man with big eyes. To me, the eyes stood out very clearly. I could see eyes. All I know is that he was standing like this, and when he saw me and I saw him, I took a second look, and then he made a movement, and I took off. Okay, so he may have turned, I don't know.
Tracks, huh?
Yeah, you want to do that?
It moved more or less like a man, and it was about 6, 7 feet tall and probably a blackish brown color. And I couldn't see his face because it was running away from me across the road. And I actually, her and I both saw it disappear into the brush. Like I say, I was born and raised around here, and bears just don't walk on his hind legs that long. And we saw this hairy-looking animal crossing the road on his hind legs, and I can't tell you for sure what it was, but I believe it was Bigfoot.
Like I say, I'm born in the woods, the Cascade Mountains. I know the animals that are here. This was something different that I had never seen before. A large creature, about 7.5 to 8 foot tall. It was grayish black in color. And as it went away from me, I seen the backside of it, walking as a man would walk on its hind legs.
Now, this happened last Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
What happened? Again?
Well, just happened to see one climbing up the hillside there.
And it was going all the way up that bluff?
Yeah, it started out there in that little hole I showed you there, and went hand over hand or hand over foot, however you describe them climbing. Straight up to the top and stood up there and watched it.
And your whole crew was down here, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There was...
there was Chuck Owens.
Skip told me, our boss told me that, or said that there was something climbing up on the mountain up there, and so I turned around and looked. And
Leo Casey and Bob Irwin.
I just saw a steady thing standing there. It looked like maybe a tree waving in the wind a little bit.
all I could see was a big black glob.
Dark, that's all I could tell you.
Do you see the outline distinct so that it was definitely walking on two hind legs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could see it. It was standing out there. I mean, it was too big for a bear, and bears don't walk on hind legs unless they're fighting anyway.
That would be my logical explanation for it, was that it was a bear.
Well, the way it went up the mountain, the way everybody describes Bigfoot, that's the only thing I can think it was, because a bear just don't do things like that.
And you've had a feeling around this camp since you moved in here?
Yeah. You can feel them watching you.
Only thing, when I first started to work here, I'd look at that mountain and I knew I didn't want to be around it, because it was just that I knew something was there, or something was watching me all the time.
I look up there all the time now because I expect to see it again someday.
I'd been down to my folks's, and Cindy was with me, and we decided it time to go home, and so we left. And
Lewis Alway and his daughter Cindy of Stevenson, Washington, returning home one night from visiting his parents, came across something they'd never seen before.
It was about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and Cindy was sleeping on the floor, on the seat. And I come around the corner there, and there it was. It looked to me like he had just come over the top of the guardrail there. I woke her up and she got to see it just before it ran into brush. And at first I thought it was a bear, but when it took off across the road on its hind legs, I just couldn't believe it. I hunt and I fish and I see a lot of game all the time, and it looked like something that I'd never saw before.
I don't care what other people think. I saw Bigfoot 10 years ago. I was with 11 other Boy Scouts at the time, and we were camping 18 miles south of Butte in the Deer Lodge National Forest. We had walked in to the forest about 5 miles that day.
It's not over yet. We got another mile. John, did you get a new away flap?
Not yet. I started another hour's service.
Oh, God, my boots are killing me.
You're not the only one, man. They went down in there and they found the cars smashed.
After setting up camp, Dan and his friends ate dinner and then sat around and talked, telling jokes until bedtime. The boys were all in their bedrolls and fast asleep by 11 o'clock. Whatever it was in the forest, Dan's friend was the first to sense it, the first to hear it. Dan and two other boys saw the giant monster.
It took us a couple hours to get back to sleep. And when we got up the next morning, we went up on the ridge where we saw the Bigfoot at. And when we got up there, we discovered a number of footprints, the biggest footprints I've ever seen. And they look something like this.
J.C. Rourke and I were up on that little hill there and setting chokers, and the cat came down to the line and he didn't come back, so we decided to walk out in the woods on the timber so we could be in the shade, and we heard this commotion there in the brush, and we saw this big monster going out through there. I yelled for my buddy. I wanted him to see him, and I started running. I wanted to get a closer look at him, and we chased him over the ridge there, and at one time I was within 50 feet of him.
In 1974, two loggers, Jack Cochran and Furman Osborne, were working in an area of fallen timber. Cochran explains what he saw.
I looked off towards the woods, and I saw these two long legs moving at the edge of the timber. And as this thing walked, it walked with a glide, and then it reached an arm out and kind of touched a tree as it walked by. And I saw these wide shoulders, and then it just moved off down the hill.
Cochran, an amateur artist, tried to sketch what he saw.
He was tall, long-legged, and hairy, very broad shoulders, and his head seemed to just sprang up out of his shoulders, no neck. The arms were long and more in proportion than a human.
There is persuasive evidence that men may be closing in on Bigfoot. What will the hunters do if they find him?
April 1981, I got several reports of Bigfoot tracks in the Mount Lassen area. I was out of movie film, and there's no way where I lived that I could buy movie film on the spur of the moment. So I loaded up my Nikon cameras and hit the trail. I was in the area several days, and on this one particular day, I was waiting on a water hole, which a Bigfoot or any animal has to come into a water hole, especially this time of the year. And I was just sitting there kind of relaxed, and all of a sudden, from out of the forest, here came this Bigfoot creature. And I could see that he was having the same problem I was, because mosquitoes was all around him, same as they was all over my body. He stepped right out into the pool, he bent, reached over, he threw water all over himself, and then he shook the water away, and then I think he heard my Nikon camera click, because all of a sudden, he bounded off into the brush and disappeared. And that was the last I saw him.
I felt something staring at me, or a feeling of being watched. And I turned around, and that's when I saw Bigfoot. I was terrified.
I heard a wailing cry, almost like a human sound. Then I saw it. Out here, right here, huge black fur. It curled up and laid down on the ground right here.
Now, is it possible that so many people over a period of time could fabricate and maintain their stories, that is, tell lies, or are they telling the truth? Well, with me is William Stenberg, a former police officer for the Glendale Police Department, a man licensed by the state of California to do polygraph work, that is, to conduct lie detector examinations. We're about to test the story of one of those townspeople, Johnny Green, whose story you've just seen. We're going to give him a lie detector test to see if he was telling the truth. In order that the test meet every standard of normal investigative work, our cameras will not intrude on the examination. We'll watch from back here through a two-way mirror. Johnny's reactions will not be altered by our presence. Well, Mr. Stenberg, can you tell me basically how the polygraph works?
Yes, sir, I can. This is a Keeler Polygraph 3-channel instrument. It records the breathing in the pneumo tube, which is placed around the subject's abdomen. The cardio cuff, which is placed upon either the left or right arm, records the rise and fall in the subject's blood pressure. A galvanic skin response is placed upon either the left or right hand, and it records certain perspiration emitted by the palm of the hand. All the reactions are recorded independently by the 3 pins, the pneumo, galvanic skin response, and the cardio.
All questions require yes or no answers.
No movement, John. Test about to begin. Close your eyes, please, John. Is your true name John Green?
Yes.
You intend to answer all of my questions truthfully?
Yes.
Do you believe you saw a creature 7 feet tall standing in the water of the Nooksack River at 2:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Did you feel and see the creature pull on the tailboard attached to your fishing net?
Yes.
Did you see the creature in your light?
Yes.
Were you truthful to me when you described the creature 7 feet tall, heavy build, covered with hair and a head shaped like a gorilla?
Yes.
To complete a polygraph test, Stenberg asks the same 12 questions 3 times each.
Have you lied to me on any of these questions?
No.
Test is complete, John. Please remain seated.
The polygraph machine confirms that John Green did see something that night in the Nooksack River, something large and hairy, something John Green and his neighbors called Bigfoot.
I was born in the Pacific Northwest, and of course this influences how I look at the world. My specialty is Native American culture history, and for years I've been aware that every Indian tribe in the Pacific Northwest has various names for a hairy, man-like creature wandering around in the woods. It's pretty much as if they took the attitude that, well, someday the white man will wake up and realize that there is such a creature out there in the woods.